And all that's without even mentioning the amazing fights in between that have just been cut. Gaara vs Deidara, the catalyst for an entire arc, Sakura and Shio vs Sasori, one of our Cherry Blossom's crowning moments with lots of complex QuickTime events, Four Tails Naruto vs Orochimaru, a major moment that plays up the dangers of Naruto losing control, foreshadowing the end of the game, Naruto vs Kakuzu, which is now demoted to a normal fight where Kakuzu starts out awakened, and Naruto can't even use the Rasen Shuriken, and Jiraiya vs Pain, which is a cool fight on its own that ends with you in gameplay being tortured and cut down by the 6 paths of pain, which makes you feel so helpless, but makes it more impactful when Jiraiya keeps fighting and takes one of them down, and many other great fights across the Storm games that are also missing. The 3-way deadlock in Storm 1, Naruto vs Sasuke in Storm 3, one of my personal favorites in the games, Night Guy vs Madara, which feels like sacrilege to ignore the raw burning awesomeness of that battle, and every boss battle that is here feels lesser because of an odd lack of difficulty. To be fair, these battles have never really been hard unless you were going for the strict requirements for S ranks, but the ones that were noticeably tougher in the other games feel reined in, and there are other changes that may not sound like big deals, but have a drastic effect on the presentation of the fight itself. Sage Mode Kabuto in the Full Burst expansion of 3 was relentless and unflappable, even if you used the bentos that gave you huge attack and defense boosts at the same time. Everything you were doing as the fight raged on seemed like it was having so little effect, which made the slow buildup of the Izanami really effective, as moments in the fight started repeating. Then in connections, Kabuto is very toned down and not as vicious, and the pacing of the fight has changed, giving the game away about the Izanami earlier on and not repeating as much, so it looks like Kabuto broke down after like 2 loops. Even the first boss fight in Storm 4, Hashirama vs Madara, feels off because Madara seems so passive. I had trouble goading him into doing certain things so I could finish objectives that required me countering his attacks. How do you take the battle-loving Madara Uchiha and make him uninterested in fighting? I've seen the criticism that it was just lazy to port over these fights from the other games, but I disagree with that to a point. These fights were already great, and pooling them together into one place to experience the story would have been a good idea. Unfortunately, the story leading into those battles has been eroded so much by the presentation. Not only has the weight of these clashes been diminished, they have also been noticeably altered in small ways that make them significantly less satisfying to actually play through. The chapter in the special story puts more respect and detail on the events of Naruto. No, the nostalgic anime song Survival Cups give more reverence than the entirety of the history mode.